Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Last day of Black History Month. What will we do? What will we do? Thank God Almighty. Glad you guys are here. Kevin Jackson shows what you're listening to. KJRadio.com. I know it's depressing. My audience is like, Kev, it's the last day for you to celebrate your blackness this year. Just when you folks were learning more about black people, they pulled the rug out from under you. They ripped it out. You were going to the museum, the Black History Museum, all over the South, where they don't say a word about Democrats. Go into one of these civil rights museums or whatever. They will not tell you the political party who was oppressing blacks, sicking these dogs on them, throwing these water cannons on them. They won't say it. I've been to 3 of them. I've been looking for the word Democrat. You don't even find dim, D-E-M, like dim, and I was going to say dimension, but that's D-I-M. But you know what I'm saying? The Democrats, they run. They run from their history. They do not want people to know how bad they were on black folks. People that we had to pass laws against in order to protect black people. When you got to put laws on the books, the Civil Rights Act, because of the egregious manner of Democrats. These people they remain evil. They've upped their game. That's all they've done. The only thing we got to know about Black History Month is that the Democrats put such a stain on America that they want to run from it. They will do anything to get rid of it, and they have transferred it to Republicans. The very people who freed black people. I want to let you hear a guy's name is Clarence Henderson. He is a civil rights activist that was back during the day. And he speaks about the Republican values and why he's a Republican. I think he converted, but he talks about it, and it just doesn't get any better. We're going to finish out this segment on that.
We have to move in the same spirit as the Republican Party when they defended the rights of blacks in America. Passed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. We have to continue the same spirit as we did when we sat down at that lunch counter and put Jim Crow on trial, and he was found guilty of trying to divide this country when we were a country united.
And Clarence Henderson joins me now. Mr. Henderson, thanks very much for taking the time today.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
So let me begin by asking you, what do you see in Donald Trump? Why do you support him and think that he is best for African American communities?
Well, politicians are a dime a dozen. Leaders are priceless. Donald Trump is a businessman, and America is a business. And in order to run America, be a part of running America, you have to understand the economics of America, and that we are a free society. We don't need politicians running based on policy, but running based on principles.
Okay, so he's clearly a different kind of politician, but what specifically have you heard from him that convinces you that he will make a difference for you and for your families, for your communities?
Because he knows how to create jobs. One of the biggest problems in America right now, especially in the black community, is a lack of jobs, and he has proven before that he knows how to create jobs. And we are a country, the land of opportunity, not the land of entitlement.
Now I've spoken to some African-American leaders recently who, as they listen to his outreach to African-Americans, they feel that he's talking at them rather than with them. And I wonder if you felt that at all.
No, not at all. I've been up close and personal with Mr. Trump, and he's a very personable guy. A lot of times he comes off on TV different than he is in person. And I don't know how they can arrive at the point of them thinking he's talking at them instead of to them, when he hasn't had a whole lot of interaction, and they have he has not interacted with them in a great way.
Well, let me ask you this then. If you look at the polls, it's really no contest. His support among African Americans is in the low single digits. Why are you in such a small minority among African Americans?
Because I look at this country and there's been a great transmission of misinformation. Therefore, you have far too many blacks that vote for the Democratic Party when there's been a Republican Party that has helped blacks more than anybody else. You look at the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. You also look at women's rights. The Republicans finally got that pushed through. So he's running on the platform that I'm in favor of. And I understand that platform because I have been a Democrat before, and I know which party has done the most for us as a race and the most for the country as well.
Now, you know that his current CEO of his campaign comes from Breitbart.com, from a wing of the party known as the alt-right, which has ties to folks who've said and propagated some racist things and racist information. Does that association bother you?
Not at all. I mean, you look at Hillary Clinton, and she's been associated with the KKK and all these various organizations. You know,
how has she been associated with the KKK?
Because I've seen her kissing one of the leaders of the KKK.
You're talking about her picture with Robert Byrd?
Yes.
Okay.
See, I come from an era time known as Jim Crow, and I know what racism is and what racism isn't. And you can't legislate a person's heart. I'm not looking to like Donald Trump. I'm looking at what he will do, and I look at the history again of the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party. And for the last 8 years, we have been put in dire straits because of the policies that have been put in place, such as Obamacare and other things, when we need jobs as opposed to the things that are happening right now.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson there. Clarence Henderson there. You couldn't be more clear. It's funny to hear a person interviewing him trying to figure out, are you sure you want to support Donald Trump? This was before Trump was elected. Here's what I want to tell you guys. If you think that Trump's not getting through to black folks, you are sadly mistaken. It is the efforts of people like myself, the Clarence Williams of the world, Henderson rather, of the world, and people that are constantly droning, putting this message out about what's really happening with the Democrats, why you need to be looking at Republicans. And he couldn't have said it any clearer. We don't need your stinking Obamacare. We need jobs. We want to afford to be able to get whatever health care or whatever else we want out of this country. Anyway, I don't cover Black History Month, but it's the last day of it. And so for fun, I just decided I wanted to play something that was an homage to Black history. We'll be back in just a bit with more Americans.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, Americans? Kevin Jackson here. Leftists love crazy. They pride themselves on insanity. Glad you guys are here because you are the most sane people on the planet. Listening to the Kevin Jackson Show, 844-551-8255 if you want to give me your thoughts. KJRadio.com if you want to write them. We love hearing from you. Leftists love crazy. They pride themselves on insanity. I have figured this out. See, I'm just observing here. In case you guys aren't aware, I do possess a superpower. That's right. Kevin Jackson is a superhero. And the superpower that I possess is called common sense. I know. And it is impervious to BS. It is impervious to leftism, progressivism, democratism. Insanity is what it's impervious to. It sees through the craziness of what these people think. I'm gifted with logic and reason. I'm just saying. I know it's impressive. You come on the radio and you're like that Kevin Jackson, that black feller, he's amazing. He says things like, if you're gonna take a journey of 1,000 miles, you probably should fly. People, ooh. I know. Hey, everybody can't be me. What can I say? I make fun of the mundane. You want to know why? Because what should be normal, regular thought, the things that we think as conservatives, let me put it this way. How can you demonize? Maybe this will put it in perspective. How can you demonize people who believe in God, for example, and it's something to do good? They believe in doing Christian acts, Judeo-Christian values, and they believe in, the golden rule, do unto others, and so on and so forth. And they are looking for ways to help you, legitimately help. They want to protect the unborn. Crazy people! How dare you? How dare you want to protect the unborn? You don't know when a child is a child. Oh, yeah, I do. It's the moment of conception. That doesn't mean anything. It's the trimesters that matter. Okay, well, fine. But you're mean. You mean people want to tell women what to do with their bodies. No, that's not it at all. I don't really care what a woman does with her body. With her body. The only thing I'm saying is she carries civilization. And once she decides to copulate with another, she then produces another body. It's really not that big of an argument. But they will look at you. I mean, these people want to wring your neck. I know this firsthand because I've been to these abortion rallies. And, stood up for the rights of children because I get them adopted. And I'm sitting there going, you people are wacky. They look at me like I'm crazy because I'm standing up for the rights of every single one of them that's out that I'm looking at. Every single one of them could have been the product of an abortion, and they don't get it. Look, I'm not moralizing about if a woman has one or doesn't have it. That's up to her. That is her choice. All I'm saying is you just have to understand what you're doing. Is that unreasonable? And I'm just using that as an example. Crazy. Whether it's immigration policy, whether it's Muslims coming to America policy, whether it's tax policy. Donald Trump is proving right now that tax policy, the way we see it, works. You decrease taxes, which means people get more of the money they've earned back. See, it would be different if you went and earned your money and they paid you in, say, burgers. And at the end of the day, they brought in a bunch of vagrants and they came in and they just started taking your burgers. And then you were left to take whatever burgers. It would be so different because, see, people don't remember life in the way it was in the past. Like when a blacksmith had to, make the metal, or a cobbler made the shoes. If a cobbler made shoes and at the end of the day, he made 3 pair of shoes and the government came in and took a pair that he was planning on selling and trading for something else, from the doctor or the veterinarian or whatever, he'd be mad. But they sneaky take it. You go out, they say, here's your amount you make per hour, and you get your check, and then suddenly you look at it and it's gone. Pieces of it are gone. You don't know where it went. You don't know who they gave the shoes to. We're going back to that analogy or that metaphor. So at the end of the day, it's like you get used to it. Okay, hey, they get their part. And then they just start getting more and more and more and more. And when somebody comes along and goes, look, this is insane. You go out and work and somebody takes 40% of what you do off the top, federal. By the time it's all said and done, you're lucky to take home a third of what you make. That's insanity. And he tries to rectify it, and they call him insane. He's crazy for trying to give people back the money they've earned. How dare he? Doesn't he know what we do with that money? Yes, he does. Yet another insane thing. I dare you to look at what the government spent. Forget, there's Social Security, which is your money, by the way. There's Medicare, which is your money, by the way. But there's also welfare stuff that has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown to the point where people are like, it's better to be on welfare than to be working. They do that. They take your money to take care of other people's negligence. So what, a guy's got a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women. It's not his fault. He's got his needs. He's got urges. So they take care of his kids while you can barely take care of yours, if you can at all. They want to give Obamacare to people that don't care about working, don't care about giving back to this economy, while you can't. You're worried to death about going to the doctor because you're concerned. I don't know if it'll cover the copay. I don't know about my deductibles. You're scared to death. That's what it was supposed to prevent. And it didn't. But they still look at you as, you want to repeal that? You must be crazy. That's how crazy the world is. But let me tell you why, folks. I said it at the beginning. Leftists love crazy. They pride themselves on insanity. If you understand that, you understand how they think, and you can predict them. Kid shoots up a school. Do you think they're going to look for a real solution? No, it is the gun's fault. When has that changed? I give you the gun. When has it changed? Every shooting. It doesn't matter who does it. It could be a Muslim shooting up a nightclub. It could be a Muslim shooting up a Christmas party. It doesn't matter. It is the gun's fault. If we only had not had that gun, these evil people wouldn't have acted at all. They wouldn't have had reason to. They wouldn't have picked up a truck. They wouldn't have, made a fertilizer bomb. No. More on this when we get back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be talking about the word man. Go look at anything with the 3 letters MAN in it, and you are in big trouble. We'll talk about that in a bit. Right now, on the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com, we are talking about crazy. And I said earlier, leftists love crazy. They pride themselves in insanity. Understanding that gives you a lot more understanding of their psyche, what drives them. And it's funny. You look at many of these, famous people. Do you think I'm kidding? Go look at them, and you know what they talk about? They talk about how insane they are. When I tell you they pride themselves on insanity, guys, I'm not kidding. Jimi Hendrix says you have to go on and be crazy. Craziness is like heaven. That's a quote from Jimi Hendrix. That's not Kevin Jackson making it up. And Don't think I'm kidding here. Look at it for yourself. Go look at celebrity quotes on crazy and insanity, and I promise you, you'll hear it over and over and over, especially entertainers. Cliff Burton said, "Just keep going like crazy and look back when it's over." Meaning, go with reckless abandon. Don't worry about the consequences. Look, when it's all said and done, you can then look back at the carnage. Go back and look at what you did to your kids. Go back and look at what you did to people that loved you. Whatever. These people that love crazy, they're the ones who go into rehab because they have been searching for crazy. They search for it in all kinds of ways. What's her name? Chelsea Handler searches for it with, promiscuity with men. Many of these celebrities search for it with chemicals. How many of these people end up in rehab? Look at the number of entertainers that are high on coke, opioids, whatever drug of choice, because they're looking for crazy. They're searching for it. Most of us are looking for sanity. We're looking for peace and tranquility. Can I get a amen? I'm just saying. Your world is crazy. If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, you know what I'm saying? And you're in a bit of crazy. And you know what you do? You try to stabilize it. And you stabilize it with marriage or, settling down. They call it settling down. We look to settle down because you want to get a little bit of that crazy out. The minute you become an adult, you get into the rat race. Sad to say, the rats are always winning, right? But you're in the rat race. You're trying to build that career, and it's crazy at the job. I'm not talking about insanity. I'm talking about people just, it's frantic. It's chaotic. And you can't control it. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. So you're chasing that almighty dollar. Then you want to, you go, hey, I got a few bucks. What do I buy? What do I wear? How do I, react? What's the latest, coolest thing to do and to go and see? And then suddenly you find yourself in a relationship or relationships, and you're moving and shaking in that deal, and you're trying to, balance that with your career. And now, your clock starts ticking. What do they call it? Your biological clock starts ticking, mostly for women. But for men too, it's time for me to start looking at it. So, but all this chaos is happening, and you know what you're doing? You're saying my life has gotten a bit crazy. Not drug induced, it's life induced crazy. And that's a crazy you're supposed to deal with. That's the crazy that the yin and the yang of life that says, boy, I've got, I'm thinking about my career. I got my relationships are developing. I've got my friendships. I want to travel. I want to do all these things. What am I going to do? And you go, okay, let me settle down. I want to get rid of the crazy. And so and by the way, as a conservative, you may have even developed a bad habit or two. You may be drinking too much. You may be partying too much. You may be losing some semblance of responsibility or whatever. Again, but you're looking for organization. Let me tell you something about the left. They don't look for organization. They look for chaos. That's what they look for. They look for the insanity. They can't deal with the picket fence in suburbia, 2 kids, the dog, and going to the PTA. That for them is insanity. While you look now, I'm describing what appears to be a boring life. Conservative life is not boring. You organize, you save, you plan for the future, you plan for your kids' future, you plan for your retirement, and it's chaotic. And at some point, as you reach maturity in life, you start getting to that level of maturity in life, you go, you know what? This is what I've been working for. I've been working to stop working, to settle in, to understand that, you know what? I'm on the downside of that hill of life, and I need to just enjoy it, the rest of it, and start prepping for whatever you think is coming. I believe it's a new world for us. I hopefully go to heaven and experience that. But that's what I hope for. And you hope for something similar. If you're a conservative, which means you're probably Judeo-Christian conservative, and you're listening to me, that's what you're hoping for. Not the left. They don't hope for it. In politics, they want more crazy. The crazier it is, the better they feel. Women marching with vaginas in vagina uniforms and costumes rather, and with vagina hats on, want you to believe that this is a country that oppresses them, but they won't do it in the countries that actually oppress them. And they march against the man who they say is the main oppressor, but again, they won't march against the people who are really the oppressors. They don't do this in any patriarchal country. They didn't even do it against Bill Clinton. Why on God's green earth would you put on a vagina uniform and march against Donald Trump, somebody you hadn't even given 2 seconds of thought about before? Because they're crazy. And the crazier it appears, the more they crave it. They crave it. They think of it as 15 minutes of fame or whatever you want to call it, but they crave it. They crave it as a group. It's funny because Nietzsche said, in individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. He couldn't have gotten it more true. I'm not a fan of Nietzsche. He's an atheist, but I'll tell you this. He's so right in this. In individuals, insanity is rare. Take any of these knucklehead leftists we've been talking about, pull them to the side and say, defend that. Explain this to me. And you can sense the sanity that exists inside of them. But let them get 3 or 4 together, insanity rules. Groups, parties, nations, and epochs. And what we're witnessing is national insanity. The national insanity of Sweden, who will allow a culture to come into their country and destroy it. Britain, the same thing. France, the same thing. They've seen it. It's not like it's a guess as to what the Muslims want to do. And I'm not just beating up on Muslims. I'm telling you, I'm just giving these as an example. These countries have witnessed the escalation of terror attacks. Sweden had, I think they said this year has had 200 bombings. There's nothing to that place. Rapes escalating. Things are running rampant. And in Britain, Muslims openly telling Brits, we're taking over. We're taking over. We're not British. We don't want to be British. We're taking over as Muslims. And so what? We might have the accent because we've been around you clowns, but we're taking over. And the Brits, okay, it's okay by me. Whatever. People are crazy. But seeing the individual, insanity is rare. It can be dealt with. When you start getting in groups, it can't. Look at what we teach. Look at where our insanity exists. Go to any university. You guys watch that CNN thing with the NRA where they're booing Dana Lash, who says the NRA, isn't responsible for your gun safety. For anything that's going on with guns. We're an advocate for the Second Amendment. Woo! And Dana Lash, friend of mine, is coolly and as calmly as she can explaining how the system broke down. The system where a kid has called law enforcement on himself. He's killed his father. Did something. Put a gun to the head of his mom. Killed. It's essentially said, I'm a threat. Kids have said they're a threat. He's contacted local law enforcement. The FBI is aware, etc. And they're booing her. It's the NRA's fault. Is that sane? Of course not. Folks, we are not teaching sanity any longer. That's why I told you I'm a superhero. You come here, you listen to me, and you're like, this Kevin, man, he's deep, he's profound. I'm not profound. I hate to break it to you. I'm not profound at all. I may be a little clever at times, but there's no profundery. What's the word I'm looking for? Profoundery? I'm just a regular dude who sees things as they are. I look through the insanity. Because insanity is rare in individuals, not in groups, parties, nations, and epochs. It's the rule.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
My psychiatrist told me I was crazy, and I said I want a second opinion. He says, okay, you're ugly too. Rodney Dangerfield. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We are talking about crazy. We're talking about insanity. We're talking about what leftists suffer from, don't even recognize, because unfortunately, the world for them has become so insane they can't recognize it. You think I'm kidding? They don't understand it. You know what the R.D. Laing said? They said insanity is a perfectly rational adjustment to an insane world. And that's what's happening to us. That's what's if we left unchecked, the insanity of the world will engulf us. And what looks sane in our previous life will look insane to us. The things that make sense would be insane. That's why I tell you all the time, when you ask yourself about leftism and why is it is the exact opposite of common sense, it's because insanity is perfectly a rational adjustment to an insane world. And when I make that statement, and when R.D. Laing made that statement, he wasn't joking. It is the case. I'll put it to you another way. So you go to prison. I hope you don't, but let's say you were in prison. In the real world, we get along. We go to ball games together. We shop. There's not a whole lot of racism. You go to prison. If you're black, you got to be with blacks. If you're white, you got to be with whites. If you're Hispanic, you got to be with Hispanics, and they separate based on northern and southern and Salvadoran or whatever. It is highly segregated in prison. That's not the way the world works. That's not the way kids play. In prison, not to get too graphic, but if a man decides he wants to, have carnal knowledge of another man, it's okay. It's not considered being gay. That's just that's the normal part of it. It's not considered it's not considered being gay. It's just your circumstances, the insanity of the circumstances. In prison, if somebody disrespects you, you got to kill them. That's the insanity of life, but it's sanity in prison. If you're disrespected, if you disrespect somebody, that person is planning to shank you. They're going to kill you in some way. That's just the way it is. In that world, which is an insane world, if you take your sane processes, your sane thoughts and ideas into prison, you're going to be dead. You're going to be taken advantage of. You must adopt a different thing. I hope that explains leftism for you. You can't take sanity into the world of leftism. You can't take sanity to a university or college. You can't do it. You can't take sanity into academia at any level anymore. We train people for insanity. We train kids right now. We tell them guns are bad. And if you're a kid like me who grew up and somebody told me guns are bad, I'd go, really? So how do you kill your trot line bait? How do you protect yourself in a situation where you need that pistol or that rifle, with the rattlesnake or whatever? What do you do? How do you get out of a bad situation? And if you want to take it to urban life, ask a young girl who's being threatened by a gang of boys, how would you prevent a rape? There's nothing insane about firearms, but that we're teaching that it's bad. Another thing being taught right now is that global warming is, this is the only way we're going to save the earth. And if you don't believe that, you're a bad person. Now, there's all kinds of evidence that says if you want to spend $100 trillion on a half a degree of temperature, you can, but you're going to bankrupt the world. So what? That's okay. Here's a really good one. Call somebody by the wrong pronoun in California, and we're going to send you to prison. I'm just giving you a few things, folks, that they tell you that are crazy. There's a black man that sent one of my buddies sent me this quote. He says, the white man has taught us to hate one another and to accept that the white man is God and the black man is broke and hungry. It's easy to rob and steal from one's own brother than to steal from the white man. So he's lamenting what we've been taught as black folks. He's lamenting what people say about us as black folks in terms of the whites. But then he's saying, but then we go and rob and steal for one another. And sadly, he's right. The white man has indeed taught black people to hate one another. Consider that blacks kill each other in extraordinary numbers while proclaiming to be family. Yeah, go anywhere, black people look at each other. Yeah, what's up, family? What's up, family? That's what, I'm telling you what we do. We meet, we see each other. We're strangers. Be in a place and somebody, what's up, family? Hey, what's up? What's up, cuz? We call each other by familial names. And let me tell you something. You are, as a black person, when you are around other blacks, you are in the most dangerous situation you could possibly be in. Blacks, these leftists, they claim to support all things black. But watch a reality show, folks, and the truth is far from different. I'm talking about one of these cop shows. Black leftists kill each other for absolutely no reason. A hard look, a bad dope deal, certainly over money. And these clowns wonder why sane blacks like myself dismiss them and become conservatives. But then what do these leftist blacks say about me? Oh, they call me an Uncle Tom. They call me a coon and a host of other names. And the other point he made, he says, they proclaim that the white man is God. See, that's for those who really don't know God. Nobody who's a true Christian believes that God is white. But some blacks fixate on this as an excuse to hate white people. Whether God is depicted as white, black, or whatever, olive skin, Greek, the depiction is wrong. It represents an artist's interpretation of God. And I happen to see God in everything. I see God in Down syndrome kids and autistic kids. I see God in deeds of people. I see people do acts of kindness and things that I go, that proves to me right there is a God. Because you could easily dismiss people and walk away from them and not care. But we don't. The woman who hands a hungry man $20 outside of a restaurant, not because the man asked, but because God was present and filled his need through the virtue of another. See, the brother is right. White leftists want the world to see only the despair of blacks. They don't showcase the many black families who live the American dream. Those are the people who feel fortunate to be Americans, to have the opportunities that America provides. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know about the sanity of life. They don't want you to know about living life with truth and honor as much as you can. You're going to be a failed Christian, folks. You're going to be failed in so many ways. That's okay. See, the left wants you to hold yourself to such a high standard you can never be worthy of God. Let me just put it to you this way. Billy Graham died the other day. He's not worthy to be in the kingdom of God. The Pope is going to die. He's not worthy of being in the kingdom of God. Mother Teresa died. She's not worthy to be in the kingdom of God, except that she submitted to him. All these people submitted their lives to God with the understanding that they are still fallible. I'm pretty sure every one of those people sins a lot less than us, right? Can I get an amen? Yeah. Kevin's preaching again. He's preaching. It feels like church, right? It's funny because my staff will say many times, Kevin, we got to be careful with the whole thing about religion. And I'll go, be careful about what? What should I be careful about? That I believe in God and I express that, and that I'm constantly searching for that closeness that I've talked about many times that my brothers feel for God, and that that gives you such a peace in your life that you're like, who cares? You know why you search for God? Why most of us are probably Christians, Christ followers, whatever you want to call yourselves. It's because you're looking to take away the insanity and to get to the sane, because it's the only thing that makes sense. Why would you want to spiral out of control versus spiraling into control? Why would you want to do it? Man, I could go on. This is such an amazing subject for me, because in everything that we talk about, I swear, people ask me, Kevin, how do you argue against the left? I go, it's very simple, guys. Think logical, and you understand what they're not going to say. If you think insane, if you said to me, Kevin, a girl got shot in Houston, Texas, and a little 9-year-old girl, and I'd be like, yeah, well, who shot? It was probably some white dude. It was a cop, right? I'm gonna go to the craziest thing. It was a cop that shot her. He was a white cop, and he probably hated black people, and he was out eating a hamburger, having a hot dog and a cup of coffee or a donut or something, and that little black girl, and I don't know anything about it. A girl was shot in Houston, Texas. You take it to the craziest place you could take it, and that's how leftism works. You, as a conservative, your first thought is, how tragic. That's the difference.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
George Will attacked Billy Graham. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. I could not believe, I was reading this story. I'll read it to you. I was profoundly disappointed to learn that the National Review had published George Will's ugly attack on evangelist Billy Graham just days after America's pastor died. This is Todd Starnes of Fox who wrote this piece. Billy Graham, neither prophet nor theologian, the conservative publication's headline declared. I could stop right there. Let me tell you something. This is one of these instances where I feel like the Muslims, with somebody talking about Muhammad, you talk about Billy Graham, I cut off your head. I was so angry when I read this. And I love Todd Starnes for putting this type of stuff out there, because I wouldn't have known this. George Will is a guy, I remember, 10 years, 15 years ago, I'd watch him on TV and I thought, an astute guy, very intelligent, blah, blah, blah. I used to think the same thing of Bill Kristol. Same thing. These two guys have fallen so far in my eyes. Now, it obviously means nothing to them. I've been beating up Bill Kristol on Twitter to the point where I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me. But these guys have lost it. They've lost it. Starnes goes on to say this: I would expect to read such anti-Christian mockery in the pages of the New York Times and the Washington Post, but not National Review. My, how times have changed. Now, I've been talking about crazy. I started talking about crazy, telling you guys that the left love insanity. They love crazy. You can spot a leftist by the things that you go, that doesn't make sense. That's just, there's no reason to feel this way. George Will, I found out, is an atheist. Okay, fine, George. You're an atheist. There's no reason for you to mock Billy Graham in any way, shape, or form. I don't care who you are. If I was a Muslim, a Christian-hating Muslim, I would still look at, I do not like the infidel, but the Billy Graham, I have no problem with. He's not what. What would you say? What could you, it's like finding some negative about Mother Teresa. Oh my gosh, I knew this leper once who said he didn't get his feet washed by Mother Teresa. Well, where was he? Well, he lived in Bombay, and she was in Calcutta. Well, there's a reason she didn't get to wash his feet, fool. Anyway, he goes on to say this: prophets take adversarial stances towards their times, as did the 20th century's two greatest religious leaders, Reverend Martin Luther King and Pope John Paul II. Graham did not. Partly for that reason, his country showered him with honors, the self-described atheist wrote. See, here's the thing. First of all, Reverend Martin Luther King was an amazing religious leader. And is he one of the greatest? He's certainly one of the greatest. Pope John Paul II, is he one of the greatest? Perhaps. I don't know enough about his history, and I didn't bother to research it to talk about it on the radio. But there are many, many theologians who have done great work, and you don't know anything about them. Many of them. And Billy Graham, I guarantee you. I don't care what you think about Pope John Paul II, and I don't care what you think about Martin Luther King Jr. Billy Graham more than deserves to be mentioned with both of them. I don't have to know the history of John Paul II. I talked about Billy Graham's death on one of the shows that I did, and I told you guys how profound Billy Graham was in my life. Now, I'm one little old, colored kid watching Billy Graham back in the day, and I remember distinctly watching him and being riveted. A kid, think about all the distractions. Kids today, it would be like me having video games. I could have a basketball court, a bowling alley in my house, and whatever else other distraction you could possibly have. And when Billy Graham was on TV, now it was a sign of the times too. We watched it, but I didn't watch it going, why are y'all making me watch this? Once my family started watching Billy Graham speak, I was riveted. There was nothing else I wanted to go do. And it wasn't like he was going to make me into a pastor, even though I think to some degree he probably did, because you guys probably, my producers say you preach all the time. And so do my kids. But the point is, it was life-changing. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not the only person who Billy Graham changed the life of. Not at all. Here's what he says. George Will. His audience were exhorted to make a decision for Christ. But a moment of volition might be, in theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer's phrase, an exercise in cheap grace. Graham's preaching to large rallies and broadcast audience gave comfort to many people and probably moved some. He's decrying the idea that Billy Graham spoke to millions. They say 215 million people in 185 countries. He's decrying it as an exercise in cheap grace. Can you believe that? Look, I don't know what Billy Graham's impact was on your life. It may have been zero. But I promise you, there are millions of people who were impacted by Billy Graham. Millions. Todd Starnes said, this is what a guy told Todd Starnes on his radio show. He says, George Will's article reveals that he is neither conservative nor a Christian. Well, he's an atheist. But people went after him, and rightfully so. George Will's snide and spiritually clueless criticisms of the incomparable Billy Graham reveal far more about Will's ignorance and hostility to the spiritual than he perhaps intended. That's what Southern Evangelical Seminary President Richard Land said. When I read Will's column, the image that came to mind was of an ignorant Pekingese yapping at the heels of a spiritual Great Dane. Of Graham's theology, Will referenced an offhand question he answered regarding his belief in miracles, and Billy Graham answered, yes, Jesus performed some, and there are many miracles around us today, including television and airplanes. Graham was no theologian, Will wrote. Oh, man. I don't know how things behave in your life, act in your life and how things come to you, but I'm not exaggerating this when I tell you I see miracles all the time, and I'm not looking for them. It's these small things that happen to people that impact their lives. We did a project through the Tea Party community where we gave we went and paid for people's stuff at Goodwill, and they made a $7 payment for a woman, and she broke down and cried and said, I was asking God to show me that he lived in my life. A $7 payment was enough to show her God.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The other day I talked about it was a Republican, I forget the guy's name, De La Boulier or whatever, former New York congressman or Republican, who said that 2018 would be a horrible year for Donald Trump. It'll be a horrible year for the Republicans. And I went down the 28 reasons that he said that. And no exaggeration, half of them were in favor of Trump. And I started thinking this is misinformation. He's just trying to get leftists to read it because it was crazy for him to believe. He can't possibly believe that. But then again, we are talking about insanity and the insanity that can come from the left. Now, and by the way, the reasons that he gave that were theoretically legitimate as to why Trump was going to have a bad year, like the Mueller investigation and stuff like that, is just, you'd have to really be the biggest optimist on the planet to believe that that's going to occur. It's the same thing of Maxine Waters believing that there's going to be an impeachment of Donald Trump. It's just, you're delusional if you think that. But guess what? The left are delusional. The left are insane. And when I tell you that the left are insane, I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm not saying it because it's like, oh, that'll make for good radio. I'm telling you, these people are insane. It doesn't. Schools. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was a Marine who was dressed in his uniform going to the base, takes his daughter to school. They won't let a Marine into a school. It was like an elementary school. A member of the service in his uniform. This isn't a guy dressed up in goth and carrying a weapon. This is a Marine. It's dropping his daughter off to the school. They won't let him in. Just to put things in perspective. And guys, and gals, you have of story after story where you're going, this is crazy. Spitting in cops' food. Not letting we don't serve police. One instance we talked about a college campus where they had a coffee shop, and the kids were having a conversation about pro-life. You need to get out of my coffee shop. Get out of here. And there's this big exchange because we don't want your kind in here. What? People that actually believe that babies are okay, should be saved? I know. How bad are we? We're here, in our tactical gear with our Nazi buttons on, ready to just beat down anybody that's not part of the Aryan race. It's ridiculous. They love their insanity more than you know. And so, this idea that they think that they can win in 2018. Look, folks, I'm not one of these people that's going to say, it's what you want to hear. We're going to be kicked their butts in 2018. Yeah, I can't wait for November. I can't wait for November because I know what's going to happen. They're going to get their butts kicked. Pure and simple. Reince Priebus was talking about it on, I believe, Fox News. I'm not sure. But he talked about the midterms. But he was talking about it in the context of Maxine Waters, who's saying the impeach president, impeach 45. And the left leadership is telling her, shut up. And she's bragging that I'm not shutting up. They're not going to tell me what to do. And she's putting she's essentially putting the last nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party. And they're begging her to shut up. I love that she's out there talking impeachment. She's talking impeachment for a guy who is truly, if you think year one was good, year two, I'm telling you, folks, is going to be even that much more spectacular. But anyway, here's a clip of Reince Priebus rebutting Maxine Waters.
About the midterm elections, and because that's one of your areas of specialty, no one doubts when you took over the plate, the RNC was buried in debt, and then little by little you took over the state houses, you took over the House, then they took over the Senate, then you got the White House. No one could doubt your track record, Reince. So put on your analyst hat, if you would, and tell me right now if this message from Maxine Waters will resonate with Democratic voters, or will it actually ignite Republicans to back Republicans? Let's listen.
Well, I said he should be impeached, and they said don't use that word. Don't say anything about impeachments. The Republicans will only use it against us. Democrats, I don't care what the Republicans say. I say impeach 45. My gun is bigger than your gun. My rocket is more powerful than your rocket. And on and on and on. All I see is two heads of state, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, both who have questionable agendas and questionable mental health.
Wow. So is that going to ignite which party?
Well, I think it probably ignites both, Brian, but I think her approach is not going to work in the midterm election here, and here's why. First of all, most of these House races are in marginal seats. In other words, these are very moderate seats. These are difficult messaging seats. It's 50-50, and the more wacky and the more wild you get in your rhetoric, the less it works in these kinds of districts. Now, where it can help is in engaging in volunteers and stirring up the base and making sure that you've got people working a phone bank 12 hours a day. But ultimately, where everyone's sort of misreading this is that they forget that on Election Day in 2016, President Trump's approval number was 37%. He's higher than that today. He's doing better today than he did on Election Day. You add on top of that there are things that Republicans and Democrats agree on that the president's done very well on. Number one, the economy, jobs, wage growth, taxes, ISIS overseas, the security of America, deregulation. Now, there are things that Republicans love, like what he's done on the courts. Here's the deal. When you look at what the president has accomplished, and you look at his decisions, things are going very, very well. And so ultimately, that's what people in these moderate districts that are in play are going to judge these elections on.
That's a good common sense analysis by Reince Priebus. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. It's common sense. And let me tell you, if I were the left, I would be very concerned with everything that Reince Priebus just talked about. Trump's approval numbers are higher than they were when he was elected. And by the way, those numbers were fake. How do you get elected with 37% approval and you get 49.99% of the vote or whatever and win the Electoral College? How does that happen? Knowing with everything that they did to cheat on the other side, I would contend to you that Donald Trump probably was in the 54 to 55% range had they been doing it on the up and up. That's what I believe. You just never know with the left. But the things that the Democrats and Trump agree on, economy, jobs, wage growth, ISIS, deregulation, etc. Now, they may disagree on the tax cuts, but we all know where that's ended up. And then, of course, what has he satisfied Republicans with? Tax cuts? selections on the courts, not just the Supreme Court, on the federal judges at that level and all the others. What else? Foreign policy, trade initiatives, stabilizing of the dollar, and there is that dreaded stock market. So what else can these people talk about? He's got, in the moderates love accomplishment. The people that base things on results this is something we haven't had to do in a while because everybody else just tells you what they want to tell you during the election cycle and do nothing else. So good luck with that.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
The fundamental issue is my right to choice.
Illinois public employee Mark Janis says from the time a union fee was deducted from his first paycheck, he's never had the right to say either yes or no to having the union represent him. And while he says he's not against unions, he is opposed to being forced to underwrite their political speech. During arguments at the Supreme Court Monday, Justice Kennedy put it this way, quote, "What we're talking about here is compelled justification and compelled subsidization of a private party that expresses political views constantly." For decades, the High Court has debated how best to handle union fees for workers who do benefit from the organization's collective bargaining efforts, but who do not want to lend any support to their political activities. Justice Sotomayor suggested today that it's sometimes part of the bargain. Quote, "We've compelled people to pay bar associations. Bar members can come out any day they want and say they don't take the same position on a policy question as the bar association. Any union member is free to get up publicly in any setting he or she wants to say they don't agree with the position the union is taking." As for the potential impact on millions of unionized government employees, both sides admitted membership would likely drop if the union loses this case, with Chief Justice John Roberts noting unions would likely have to work harder to make their case to employees.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I love this topic. Wow. I love this topic. This is slavery. See, the people may not want to put it into the right perspective. This is nothing but slavery. It is saying, I'm taking your money. You can do nothing about it. But as Justice Sotomayor would say, well, it's for the public good. You're going to have to crack a few eggs in order to get to the goodies here, right? No. But she wants to argue that because the union does something good that may occasionally do something good for you as far as collective bargaining or whatever else, that, hey, sometimes you just got to take a little bit of the bad with the good. Is that the way you feel? I mean, that is a very communistic thing to say, I'm willing to pay for the roads and infrastructure of the country is one thing. To be able to say, I'm going to pay for a bunch of fat cats to pretend that they're going to help the entire population of us should something happen in a company, it is completely ridiculous. What it also shows, are unions needed at times? Sure, I'm presuming they are. But I'll tell you this, I would rather negotiate as an individual. Do your job and negotiate as an individual. If you decided that you were a bunch of, machinists in a factory and they were mistreating you, you could all decide, you know what, we're going to get together ourselves and we're going to leave and cut out the fat cat middleman. This is wrong on so many levels. It's slavery. And if it's put into that verbiage, then I guarantee you the Supreme Court will have no trouble throwing it out. One of the justices has said it's compelled justification and subsidization of a private party. That is exactly what it is. Compelled. They should say to a person, you can opt in. Look, here's the thing. If the union wants to negotiate and have its power, and it's got a certain number of union members, the actual fallout is the opposite of Sotomayor, which is, hey, you might not have everybody that joins you, but you're gonna some people may benefit from what you do. So think about it this way. You go out, you work every day, okay? And there are people that benefit occasionally from just being an American citizen. They benefit from better roads. They benefit from better schools or whatever, however you do it. But the overwhelming majority of us say we definitely want to be part of the system that helps to do that. We're willing to do it. But compelled to do it is another thing. Now, you may be saying, well, Kevin, we're compelled to pay taxes. We're compelled for the greater good of the nation. No question about it. But how are you going to take that and say, now we're going to compel every employee for the greater good of the employee? No. Every employee has voluntarily said, I want to work at this company. That they're not, and I know it may seem like the lines are blurred here, but I think most people get what I'm saying. Being born in America, I don't have a choice. Contributing to the fabric of America, I don't have a choice. I mean, that's what you do. If you're going to be a part of the citizenry of this country, you're compelled to do something. Some of us fall by the wayside because of the circumstances for whatever reason. But I voluntarily go to work. I say I want a job. It's a capitalist that hires me to do a job. That's something I choose to do. And I shouldn't have to be penalized because I choose to do something that, by the way, is going to make me a living and allow me to do some good works. That's the difference. And it's funny to hear people, you get both sides of these arguments, and Sotomayor may think she's making a compelling case. Oh, well, if you're benefiting from the union in some small way, no matter what, yeah, they deserve to take part of your money because you're part of the collective. Well, what about when it doesn't benefit me? What if I felt like without the union, I could have done better? Has anybody considered that? Maybe there are a group of people that go, you know what? I don't believe they got the best deal. I'm going to tell you, I would certainly make that argument before the Supreme Court and say, how do you know they got me the best deal? They call it collective bargaining. We're going to use everybody as a threat. We'll threaten to leave. We'll threaten to strike, whatever. I could get a better deal because maybe I am so needed. And I'll give you a good example. Guys that work on these platforms out in the South China Sea or wherever they may be working to drill for oil. These dudes are rock stars. They don't need no stinking unions. You want to know how I know? Because I've dealt with the largest oil companies in the world who have an oil platform that's down, and they will fly an engineer. They will move an engineer and his entire family in a matter of days in order to save millions of dollars, from that platform being down. If there's one guy, or there may only be two guys in the world who know that platform to the degree that guy knows it. And you're going to compel him to be in a union? For what? He's looking at, do y'all think I'm kidding? These guys, they spend as much money to move these people around as they do to move a band for a rock star, for a rock tour. They onboard them and offboard them in different countries. It's quick. Most of it's electronic these days, but they will pack up that man's house or woman's house, family, you name it, and ship it all from one country to the next. Fly this dude on private jets, his family on private jets, give him a bonus. I'm talking bonuses of $50,000, $100,000 easy, and say, we need you on that platform. When can you get here? It's amazing to watch. And so then what Sotomayor says is, she says, look at the Bar Association. Attorneys must be part of the Bar Association. Now let me tell you why that is. Because attorneys take an oath that says, I'm going to, they got all these rules. I'm going to represent you to the best of my ability. I'm going to be ethical, et cetera, et cetera. That's why you join the bar. The bar holds attorneys to a standard. The union doesn't hold a worker to a standard. In fact, no offense to the people out there working in some of these unions, but the union people I find to be some of the worst workers. I tell a story when I was in Chicago doing a trade show and setting up our booth, and a guy goes, what are you doing? I go, we're setting up our booth. He goes, well, you can't do that. That's a union job. I was like, what are you talking about? We do this everywhere we go. He goes, well, you can't do it in Chicago. So I go, well, he goes, you got to go to the office. You got to get it, union people to come set it up and blah, blah, blah. So I had to go pay a fee like $700 to get my thing set up. And you know what the union guys did? Nothing. We set it up. We just had to pay the fee. So nothing, so they because it was a union job. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So we get the booths set up, and we don't have any. I was like, okay, we don't have the cord. We had our cord, but we needed a different cord. So I said, well, go out and get a cord. We'll go to Home Depot, and the union guy was there, and he goes, you're not talking about going to get a cord to plug in. I go, well, what else am I going to do? He goes, you got to go back to that office and tell them you need electricity, etc. And I got to buy. So the cord rental was $75. I'm not lying. So I had to go rent the cord. I bring the cord back. He's still there. This guy's still there. So I go, okay, $75 later, got my cord, Mr. Union guy. So we were going to plug it in. He goes, you're not going to plug that in. Whoa, you're not an electrician. Get this. I had to go back. So I paid $50 so somebody would plug in my cord. If you think that I'm going to be friendly to unions, to heck with them. And so Sotomayor says, well, they can disagree and all this. But let me tell you the bigger issue. The bigger issue is these unions collectively bargain. They negotiate, on behalf of their people. Then they sit in front of governors and say, okay, here's what we want. It is the biggest conflict of interest. And this is what the governor of Illinois said. Biggest conflict of interest on the planet is to have the very people that you have to do a collective bargaining contract with, and then they come and negotiate with you on the work to be done. It's completely insanity, counterintuitive to anything you would do, and that's what we do every day.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Only time I get really religious, I become a Christian when I get on airplanes. That's when I get I don't want the plane to crash, so I'm helping old ladies with their bags. Miss, no, don't, let me get that bag. Hold on a second. Let me get that, put that up there for you. Look, God, I'm helping this old bitch up with her bags. I don't even know her. You ain't gonna let the plane crash, are you? And I'm fully, because when the woman goes, thank you so much for putting my bag up, and I'm like, look, this got nothing to do with you. I'm just trying to keep the plane from crashing, because when the plane lands and she's looking at me like, you want to get my bag out there? No. I did my job. The plane's on the ground.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Madeline Murray, she was the world-renowned atheist. She called religion induced insanity. She couldn't find a way to see any type of reason for religion. I guess everything happens by chance, and the reason why you have a certain amount of electrical stimulus in your body that creates your heartbeat, and that heart beats a certain number of times in your lifetime, and everything that occurs just inside of the human body that is a miracle in and of itself. Madeline Murray couldn't figure out. And moreover, not only could she not figure that out, she couldn't figure out the miracle of life. Have you thought about what it takes for you to become a being? I mean, the many, just infinitesimal number of things that have to occur for you to come out. It's so amazing. Forget about the cosmos. I mean, can you contemplate the cosmos, how far it is to get from here to the moon, how long it takes us, then how long it would take to get to the sun if you were to dare to want to go, Icarus, or how many light years it is to, some other solar system or whatever, how vast it is. Think about where you are right now, the room you may be in, the vehicle you may be driving in, the big house you may be in, the community that you're in, and it is not even a pinprick in the universe. I'm talking about it's not the head of a pin. When you think about how far we've reached, and look, there is no doubt about it. Not a bit of doubt. We know how vast the universe is. Light years and light years. We talk about things you couldn't even you couldn't see it. It's so vast and amazing that there's no way for you to even encompass it. And in fact, to be blunt, man can't even imagine it. We got Hubble and all these other, things that are out there looking at the cosmos, and we still don't know jack. Then we talk about the way we're going to try to get through it, to see it, is through these compressions in the fabric of space, wormholes and so on and so forth. And it doesn't matter how many wormholes we find or whatever, man will never understand it. And whatever thing that our brain can conceive, it still has no clue what's out there. And you know who tells you that? The Bible. Yeah. Religion is induced insanity. Let me tell you what induced insanity is. Leftism. That's induced insanity. The insanity that you disregard all the things around you that prove that you are insignificant in the scheme of things, which means there must be something that is infinitesimally significant. If you can be so small to not matter at all, your presence on this planet or anywhere else is so not necessary. It's the same way you look at an ant. It's not necessary. Who cares? You squash an ant, nobody misses it. Nobody in Russia's going to, go, you killed an ant, that was my cousin. I'm coming for you. No, nothing. It's insignificant. And by the way, your death will be as well. So what gives you meaning? Why were you ever here? They call a school resource officer. They was supposed to react in Florida when these kids were shot at Parkland, Florida, at this high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, on Valentine's Day. And this officer has been called a coward. And his lawyer, he's now got a lawyer. He's like, I'm not a coward. I think he is. But he says, no, it's not. It's not what you think. And that's what we've been told. We were told that there were people that sat outside of the school while these shootings were going on, and we talked about it as a part of a conspiracy. Maybe these guys, didn't want to go in because there's some bigger conspiracy. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I will tell you this. The schools are in cahoots with the cops to not report crimes. That I know. So I don't know whether this guy was given a stand down order. I know this. I know in the real world, in these neighborhoods that are very unsafe, the cops are being told by the city leaders, don't report our crime rate. We can't attract people to our city. We can't attract business to our city if we tell them what's really going on. I find that incredible. You want to attract some big manufacturer? Come to our city. It's very safe. You'll love it here. Things are good. And they're covering up crime. Well, to me, that's bait and switch. You get people here, they find out there's crime, that there's more crime than they thought. Then you put them in the schools and they go, yeah, we're working with the schools too to make our schools look safer. So they're making their schools look safer. The schools look safer. The community looks safer. Everybody kumbayas. Company comes in, says, "Woo, I'm going to bring my 2,000 employees because it's so safe and secure." And then they find out, 2 employees were killed the other day, or this happened, or we got robbed, or vandalized our cars and all these things. And like, what the heck happened here? Too late. We tricked you. Then they tell you, well, we'll provide security. That's what the school had an SRO. a school resource officer who I believe is armed. I don't know. And it, said, I don't know what the jobs of these people are. I'm just going by what I'm told. But I know this. If I'm a grown man and there's somebody shooting up students, I'm going to try to figure out how I can get to them. Now, me personally, I'm going to go grab a firearm and go in and do my job. But I don't know what this guy, I don't know the situation, but I know from what I'm told, he was armed. He could have gone in. There were other deputies, 3 others. And why are these guys blaming the NRA? Because leftism is induced insanity. Broward Deputy Scott Peterson, what a name, huh? He says, has been heavily criticized for failing to enter the school and confront the gunman, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, during the rampage that left 17 people dead. I want to go back and revisit some of the things about this rampage. When they were telling us that Nicholas Cruz was a member of the white supremacist group. You guys remember this? That's what they were saying. A guy whose name is Cruz, C-R-U-Z, named after no white supremacist, because, by the way, folks, that would be a white Hispanic along the lines of George Zimmerman. Yeah. So Cruz, a Hispanic kid, was accused of being a white supremacist. Then, I don't know whether they said he was a Republican or whatever, but he's a gun-toting member of the NRA. He is not. I mean, so many things wrong. And now we get that this resource officer is a coward, doesn't go in. 3 other deputies who were there on site didn't go in. And we got a litany of other reasons as to why these things didn't happen. And the guy says, I'm no coward. They say Peterson had been assigned to guard the school, and his actions or lack of them were even lambasted by President Trump, who called Peterson a coward last week. Trump on Monday again slammed Peterson and the other officers who allegedly didn't enter the school, saying the way they performed was frankly disgusting. And there's a story out because Donald Trump said, I would have gone in. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever. That's a typical Trumpian story, right? Trump always says, I would have done it, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out he would have done it. There's an article about Donald Trump and him going into something. I don't know. Have you guys seen this article? Muggers Trumped. It was an article. I can't see the date on it. I'm trying to expand it, but it won't go any bigger. But it was written up in a newspaper. It says, call the Donald to the rescue. When he saw a big guy with a big bat bashing another fellow, Donald Trump did what any self-respecting billionaire would do. He ordered his driver to pull over. I'm not looking to play this thing up, Trump said yesterday. I'm surprised you found out about it. Witnesses said Trump, with Maria Maples lagging on his arm, I can't read it, but it's something up to stop him, leaped from his black stretch limousine Monday evening during the assault on 9th Avenue near 45th Street. There you go. So Trump will at least get involved, according to this. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. He may not be a coward. He may have had some order to stand down. We'll find out more soon.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
No rest for the weary, as they say. The chaos of life and its collision with technology and tragedy has more of us feeling drained, frazzled, and emotionally overrun. I read that, and I said to myself, that is exactly how the left wants us. Been talking about it all day. Welcome, folks. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Earlier in the broadcast, I talk about the left feasting on chaos, feasting on crazy, feasting on lunacy, insanity. They pride themselves on it because it keeps you off tilt. The world, if the world moved smoothly, have you seen that commercial where the Visa person, they pay by credit card, and then some guy steps up to pay cash and everything stops? Well, as sick as that commercial is, because what it's telling you is they want an electronic world where they can take from you at any point as they want. But as sick as it is, it makes the point. that as long as things are moving in this cycle, moving smoothly like a well-oiled machine, there's no need for anybody. There's no need for a mechanic if your car is never going to break down. There's no need for a psychologist if your mind is never going to break down. The left breaks you down. When you're at a point where you're happy, I promise you, my grandmother would say, up jump the devil. The left will come into your life and they will pee in the punch bowl. They will put a skunk at the picnic. They will do whatever it takes to make sure that your life goes into chaos, because somehow one of two things occurs. It makes them feel good or it enriches them. One or the other. That's how it works. This article goes on to say, put simply, we are exhausted. What's to blame? The list is long, growing experts say. Wildfires, terror attacks, rising tensions with North Korea, racist rallies, political investigations in Washington, the nonstop barrage of presidential tweets, more and worse shootings, mass shootings from Las Vegas to Florida, a tsunami of sexual harassment accusations, the role of Russians in our elections, climate change, red state, blue state division, and not one, not two, but three of the worst hurricanes on record, including one that nearly blew Puerto Rico out of the Caribbean Sea. Put together, it's understandable why exhausted Americans are limping along and running out of gas. Do I need to tell you this was written by a leftist? Racist rallies? Really? The nonstop barrage of presidential tweets? That's what's bothering you? No. You know what's bothering me, leftist? For you listening to the Kevin Jackson Show? You are. The idiocy of you, the insanity of you, the crazy of you. Flora Borg said this, sometimes you have to exercise your insanity to really make it strong. Leftists believe in growing their insanity. Many of them believe that their insanity is what makes them cool, what makes them great, what makes them unique. I'm insane. The crazier I act, the crazier I behave, the more outlandish my makeup, my hair, my sexuality, etc., the more likely I'm going to get seen. Hallelujah. It's funny. Hunter S. Thompson said this, crazy is a term of art. Insane is a term of law. Remember that, and you will save yourself a lot of trouble. So you're only crazy as an artist, but insane is a term of law. Art is supposed to be crazy. And what is artistic? Everything that the left does. When they go on TV to lampoon the president, it's art. If they cut off his head and show it as some sort of jihadi joke, it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be artistic. Look at her. Look at that chick. D-lister who decides she's going to make a joke out of President Trump's severed head. Oh, what about a toe tag on his body in the morgue, Snoop? I mean, why not follow in the lines of Kathy Griffin? Or the same thing with George Lopez, showing the president dying or killed or assassinated or whatever. That's what the left wants you. There's no distance in which they cannot go. And by the way, no excuse they can't go. I'm a comedian. It's just a joke. This was meant to be funny. I don't really mean it. Yeah, they don't really mean it. The worst schools in the country in black neighborhoods, but they will tell you they're educating blacks. We had a black superintendent rather, in Parkland, Florida, saying, by the way, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, all kinds of bonuses. And this man says that we don't have a problem. We shouldn't be arming teachers. We should be putting more money in their pockets. That's what he said in the wake of a shooting of 17 of his kids. We should be putting more money in their pockets. No, don't arm them. Don't protect the kids. Let's help the teachers. Let's get the teachers more, because that'll do it. I don't know how well those kids are in school, but I'll tell you this. If you look at the national average and certainly look at the world average, we're not doing that well here. We pay a lot of money for school. I think kids would do better in school if they felt protected, if they felt safe, if they actually had the respect that a teacher don't have to put up with their nonsense. I'll put it to you this way. I speak to young black kids. They talk blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking. Then they finally get all lippy. And I say, let me explain something to you, youngster. I'll kick your butt. And you want to go get your daddy? I'll kick his butt too. Just do a little research. You'll find out I'm capable. And what they do? They're like, ooh, man, he ain't no joke. He ain't playing. They come at you with respect. And when they respect their teachers, when they feel like, you know what? My teacher ain't going to my teacher is armed. He's not tolerating nonsense in class. Get out of my class. I'm not fighting you. I'm not saying the teacher should be threatening people with guns. I'm just saying a gun is going to give these teachers a lot more respect. The kids will feel like my teacher can take care of me. The same way your dad. The same way your mom would if they were packing and somebody bothered you. Kids want to feel like there's a reason for them to respect authority. Let me tell you something. These teachers today, they don't deserve respect. They're clowns. They are caricatures of the old school teachers, the teachers who demanded respect in the classroom. And not because they could deliver it, but because they knew the parents would do it for them. Crazy, folks. Charles Bukowski said, some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must live. Do I need to tell you this as a leftist? What truly horrible lives they must live because you don't go crazy. Let me tell you something. You need things to make sure that you don't lose your sanity, but you should never seek insanity. Oh, man. Lots to talk about today. I'm excited. Oh, we got Amazon coming up in the news. We got, here's a story for you, what they're paying kids not to do. And finally, a lottery winner. Back in the day.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I was thinking about this the other day. Who's going to replace George Soros when he dies? I'm talking about on the left. By the way, the right, we don't really have a George Soros. We have billionaires out there who will help individuals. Like, for example, if you're wondering how Ben Shapiro's been rising through the ranks, he's got the backing of a Texas billionaire, an anti-Trump Texas billionaire. And now it turns out Shapiro's looking to buy the Blaze from Glenn Beck. Yeah. So Glenn Beck, anti-Trump, Ben Shapiro, anti-Trump, and this billionaire anti-Trumper are trying to become one of the largest media outlets in the country. Now, again, if Trump does something wrong, you should go after him. But to be anti-Trump because he doesn't fit the stereotype of a president, particularly given his track record thus far, I think is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that somebody can rise through the ranks, the way Shapiro has, with the help of a billionaire and still be so wrong. I mean, that's just my opinion about it. I don't have anything against him. I think he's a sharp kid. Otherwise, he's a conservative of the Buckley ilk. Intellectual type, can certainly argue his point to such a degree that people are like, wow, But, when you get it wrong, when you're anti-Trump, he wins, and then he has a year like he has. I'm sorry, I can't look at you and go, wow, look at you. You've got look at the intellect. No, you missed it. But anyway, Donald Trump's got his detractors, and one of them is not. I mean, it's hard to believe that we got somebody like Shapiro out there who's a detractor, but we've got a guy named Jeff Bezos out there who owns the Washington Post. On the left, he's an attacker of Trump. And he stated it. He bought the magazine, now it's online, who was failing. And he says, I don't even care. I want anti-Trump research done, and I want it written about him every single day. And he's tried to use the Washington Post, maybe in some ways the way Shapiro's trying to use the Daily Wire and many other things. But we've now got an anti-Trumper on the right in conjunction, trying to grow his business. And then we've got this anti-Trumper on the left in Washington Post with Jeff Bezos. And Bezos has been, just crazy in going after Trump, literally hiring opposition researchers to do things and creating this fake news. Now, Trump has pretty much marginalized all of the media. And in fact, he's done it in such a way that, believe it or not, the media is starting to come around. Right now, I think that the statistics, they say it's like 90% negative against Trump, 10% positive, or 10% probably neutral. I don't know that they report very much positive. But whatever they're doing, I can tell you, you're starting to see a shift. It's probably now 80-20. Now, it'll go back negative. Why? Because Trump released his budget, and the left are having a conniption over it because he's cutting out the gravy train. No longer is a taxpayer, going to finance the nonsense of the left, the media machine and things that they're looking for. It's not going to happen, okay? So you're going to see some negative at that. But as you continue to get good news, for example, we'll talk a little bit later in the broadcast about what's happened in January because of the tax plan. As you start to get this good news, and as the tsunami effect of some of Trump's policies kick in, when I say tsunami effect, I don't mean bad news tsunami. I mean good news tsunami. Brings a bunch of rich soil to the land, and suddenly everything is flourishing because of the tsunami that is the Trump plan. But here's what I want to get at. Jeff Bezos, who is willing to invest in a media outlet and throw money at the Washington Post that's losing money and saying, I don't care how much it loses, I'm funding it. He's going to lay off hundreds of people. Now, see, people don't know. Amazon sells clothes. They sell all kinds of stuff. You've heard of Alexa. I will not put Alexa in my house because I don't want anything with Bezos listening in on me. If I say, hey, which way to the chicken shack, they'll probably send cops over and talk about me trying to, give chickens cocaine. Who knows? I don't trust them. But he's apparently going to double down on technology. He's going to lay off hundreds of employees in his consumer retail side of the business, but he's going to grow his technology side. He wants to become a technological giant. He already is, and he's got contracts with the government, believe it or not. Get this, Amazon employs 566,000 people. They've got 12,500 job openings. This may soon be the one. It's certainly in the top 5 largest privately held companies in the world with that number of employees. When I worked at Hitachi, we were one of the largest companies in the world. We had 385,000 employees, and I thought, that's huge. Amazon's 566,000, hiring 12,500. Now, why am I bringing this up to you? I'm bringing this up to you because I want you to think about a guy who was willing to invest money in a failing news outlet that he has targeted at Donald Trump. But he says, on my retail side, I don't give a crap about y'all. We're shifting gears, and that doesn't matter. That to me is just amazing. Think about, he has got such a vendetta against a man who, by the way, is making him one of the richest guys in the world. And he's got a vendetta. And that vendetta now means he's going to fire hundreds of people. For all intents and purposes, Jeff Bezos could say, look, nobody that works for me, you're ever going to get fired. I'm going to set aside money in escrow, and you're just going to get $50,000 or $100,000 a year. So let's just do the math. If he gave, it's hundreds of people. So let's, for the sake of discussion, say it's 500. If he gave 500 people $100,000 a year, it's $50 million. $50 million a year. So if he set aside one of his $1 billion in escrow and just let it do what it does, let it grow normally, he could employ these people for years. I mean, off the books. 500 people, he could just say, here you go. That's essentially what he's doing with the Washington Post. I think he said, I don't remember his exact comment, but it was something along the lines of, I'd lose $1 billion just to go after Trump. But he's anti-Trump. And I mean, I just can't get over this. A businessman who wants to be more powerful, believes himself to be more powerful than the freely, duly elected president of the United States, and is using his resources to do so. But when it comes to the common man, the person who bet on him, and he's the one that decided, hey, I'm going to do these retail shops and all that. Now, look, as a capitalist, I say you can hire and fire whoever you want. But when you claim that you're one of these bleeding heart leftists that cares about people, how do you keep one business alive? And then you decide, because that one suits your purpose, your narrative, to go after somebody, but your other business, you say, I don't care about those people. It's hundreds. And he's got 12,500 openings. At least move them over. Do something for these folks. But see, that's leftism. It's such a duplicitous ideology.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And here's what blows me away. I joke about race, but I've been in I've been in a fight with a black guy. Has any white, this is an astounding statistic, has any white guy ever been in a fight with a black guy? Not one. I'm the only one in here. Never. And I'll tell you why, and it's a fair question. White people do not like fighting black people. We do not. Have you ever been in a fight with a black guy? No. Why? You didn't think you'd win? Is that fun? It's a weird feeling, because the second you get in a fight with a black guy, the first thing everyone watching the fight thinks is, oh my God, he must hate all black people. And you're like, no, just this one. And that's I got into a fight in high school. Now, girls, you don't know this, but guys, do you remember in high school, you'd be at a party and you'd hear someone yell, fight! And so that's what I did. I'm at a party and I'm dancing, what's up, joy? Pump it up, pain. Here we go, sunshine. And I hear fight, right? I hear fight and I take off running, just, not like a midget, just, Now here's what I learned, and I'm warning you. What I should have done is I should have checked the skin color of everyone attending the fight that night. Maybe stop 10 feet short of the fight and go, hey, what are they fighting about? Instead of sticking my white face into the center of 20 black guys beating up one white guy who's unconscious on the floor. Yeah, now I'm on his team because we're wearing the away uniforms.
All right, everybody, welcome back. You gotta love the humor of situations like that, probably based on some truth, And I love those types of things. But here's the thing that I don't like about it. It is based on some sort of stupid truth. And here's what's going on right now, folks, in Philadelphia. They're paying kids not to fight. Now, I'm curious to get your take on this. Here's a story out of Philly.com. Michael Lindsay is acutely aware of what the world thinks of him. A 14-year-old attending a public school in a particularly tough corner of Philadelphia. People look at me and say, "You should be fighting," said Lindsay, an 8th grader at Mitchell Elementary in 55th and Kensington. How do you say that? I'm sorry, Kingsissing Avenue. Whatever. Anyway, some other street, okay? I hate reading stories. But anyway, here's what it goes on to say this. But that's not him, Lindsay said. And this year, he's proving it. He's part of an 8th grade class whose principal is attempting an unusual, and some would say audacious, experiment. If Michael and his 32 classmates make it to graduation with no physical altercations, each gets a $100 bill. $100 bill. Paying young black kids not to fight. Tough area of Philly. Saying, fights happen a lot, probably. I'm just guessing here, but I grew up on the streets. San Antonio. Poor black kid. I fought all the time. Made me tough. So I get it, because you guys have heard me say this. I think it's really silly, the amount of time that I have spent in the martial arts. And here's the deal. There's a part of me that liked it. I won't lie. I enjoyed training my body to be a weapon. But here's the sad part. It wasn't like I just said, hey, you know what? I'd like to be a dancer. Or I really enjoy gardening. Or, boy, that's really cool what they do with their body. I'd like to do that. I knew in my head learning that was going to prevent butt kickings. And that's why I had an affinity towards it. I don't know, quite frankly, that I would have spent the it's now decades in the martial arts had it not been for fear of not wanting to be somebody's chump. That was truly my motivation. Now, I do believe I see the art in it, because I really do see the artistry. I love watching. I love training kids, especially the ones that, their bodies can just do certain, crazy things that you're like, I didn't know the human body could even do that. Little scissor legs that, just crazy flexibility and all that. You run into them and you're like, that's really cool. I'm going to see what this kid can do. Wrap around hook kick, crazy stuff. But I learned to fight because I felt like I needed to. And I think it's such a waste of time that many, many young black kids grow up knowing, man, I got to at least learn the basic skills. I got to learn how to box. I got to learn how to wrestle, or I got to learn how to fight. And those that don't, you know what they do? They get a gun. See, if I had learned what my white friends learned a long time ago, they all carried guns. That's it. They carried guns. You mess with me, they go, look, it's not like I can fight. I don't really want to fight you, but I am loaded here. I got my gun. And yeah, okay, got it. But what's cool about my era? Even if somebody had a gun, if y'all had a beef, you fought it out. Nobody got shot. Anyway, they got to pay these kids. They don't have to, but they're going to. So they said the Mitchell 8th graders' streak of peaceful days hit 70. No small feat for students surrounded by people responding to problems with fist and worse. Even in the nation's poorest big city, the school's hard luck Southwest Philadelphia neighborhood, Kingsissing or whatever sticks out. Somebody from Philly, if you know how I'm supposed to pronounce this, tell me. 844-551-8255. My oldest son went to Wharton. He's a graduate of Wharton, but I guess he never went to that area. Anyway, they said this: 81% of Mitchell students live below the poverty line. 81%. Some are homeless, many are hungry, and some are essentially raising themselves. That area of Philly is also the city's one of the most violent corners, police data shows. And they say the school hasn't been spared. By this point in the 2015-16 school year, nearly a quarter of its 8th graders had been suspended at least once. And on a 1 to 100 school district measure of academics, climate, and growth, Mitchell has just scored a 3. It's a 3 out of 100. Why is it? This isn't a school. It's a penitentiary. That's what it is. By the way, have you guys noticed something about schools these days? Now I'm about to date myself. I never remember, somebody help me here. You can just contact us at kjradio.com. No gates, no fence on my schools. Any of them. I can't remember any. My high school campus, Marine Military Academy, you could walk on and off campus all day. You had to jump a moat. There was a canal. We called it the canal. But you could walk right off campus. And the moat didn't circle the whole thing, so there were places you could get off campus. We had a fence where you couldn't get to the airport because we bordered the, an airfield. I forget, but they used to do the, what do they call it, air shows by that field. But that was the only fenced area. And that wasn't for us. That was to keep us off that property. But we had that. Not my junior high, not my elementary school, none of them had a fence. Not one. And now you go by any school, fenced. All of them fenced. Just something interesting. A lot of fights. A 3 out of 100. They said, but on both counts, the school has made significant gains under the watch of Principal Stephanie Andrulevich. The $100 incentive was her idea, a way to promote peace, not just for the older students, but for the whole school. So I'm guessing the 8th graders are the big boys on campus. Yeah, it's probably a middle school. Here's what she says. I wanted to challenge them to be what their families see in them and what we know they are, she said, pausing in the hallway last month to hug a student who rushed at her with a big smile. They have a choice to become the violence they see in the day-to-day lives or to be peaceful models for our school and our community. See, I believe in these kids too. I don't know whether this idea is good necessarily. If it works, it's good, right? I'm not, when you've heard me doing this article, you're like, oh, Kevin's probably going to beat up on. No, if it works, it's good. I don't believe in incentivizing people, for negative, like, don't steal and then I'll give you some money. You shouldn't steal anyway. But sometimes, you know what? The way that the reverse logic of leftism is, it could work. It obviously is right now. Now, here's the other thing. They won't give us all the details. They aren't going to let us know everything about it. But we'll see. We'll see if it works. But she says, Harvard did a study that said that these financial rewards, when offered by educators, are most effective for things that children can control, like doing homework or reading books. They said these incentives can make a difference in school. But, is it long term? I don't know. It's kind of like that thing in LA where they're saying, if you are a bad kid and you don't do anything bad, we'll send you to Hawaii. Well, the good kids do nothing bad and they get no reward. See, I don't think that's fair. I think that there are kids that are not going to fight in that school. Period. Now, here's the deal. She's offering it to the entire 30, whatever number of 8th graders. So it's going to cost somebody $3,000 in change. Well, I hope it works for him. Seriously, sincerely I do. Couldn't hurt. But I'm going to go be somebody else. Back in a bit.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million. Remember that song? And then, what's the song? Bruno Mars, I Want to Be a Billionaire, So Freaking Bad. Yeah, look, we've all had that dream. Have you had that dream? This is like the worst dream you can have. You dream that you're rich, you hit the lotto, whatever, and you're spending, man, you're having a blast. And that dream, you wake up and the reality hits you that you're still broke. Oh, man. Is that like the worst? The only thing that may come even close is if you're like, with the girl or the guy of your dreams, however you roll, and right before, you're going to kiss them or hang out, they say yes, whatever. You wake up, no. You want to go back to sleep. And you can't recreate that. That's a dream. It's going to come around like once every year, 2 years, whatever. But it's not going to be duplicated. And don't try to go back. I'm going to go back to sleep, start over, start right where I left off. Start there, Okay, just get up. Go get the coffee. Go do your yoga. Go, pick up dog doo-doo, whatever it is that you do. But I'm just saying, it's over, right? Dreams. And that rich dream, there's, like I said, nothing can replace that one. Because with money, being honest with you, you can have a lot. If you get the person of your dreams, I'm sure there's some satisfaction that comes from that. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not downplaying it. But I'm saying as far as dreams go, money's where it's at. Right? Getting your, whoever it is that floats your boat, that's cool. Having all that money, because your mind in that, and that thing is, man, you're like, whoa, I'm in the car, I'm in the house, I'm hanging out with the honeys. You feel just completely free, liberated. And I think you have those dreams maybe when you're under financial pressure, which makes waking up from them all the worse. It's not like you have a dream about meeting some starlet that winks at you and likes you, because you've broken up with your girlfriend. That's the last dream you have. It's when you're in your relationship and you have a dream about somebody else that you wake up and go, why am I dreaming about, Tyra Banks, or in my case, Elle Macpherson. Whew. Okay, I'm just not even going to go there. So, you could be with somebody and still it's like, Elle Macpherson, wow, why she just pop up? Maybe it's because your relationship is good, right? It's like, okay, it's all good. You're in the midst of your Elle Macpherson moment, or whoever you pick, but there you go. So, but like I said, that pales in my Elle Macpherson dream pales in comparison to my lotto dream. And that's tough to say. That's like saying Trump is better than Reagan. It's tough to say, even though I have to admit it. Here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. This lady wins the Powerball for $560 million. And the only thing she has to do to claim the Powerball is she's got to say, I'm the person who won the Powerball. So I titled this segment of the broadcast, Roe v. Paid. Not Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Paid. All this woman has to do is say, my name is blankety blank, and she gets her money, which, by the way, $560 billion means she's probably going to bring home about $270 billion, which, million. I'm sorry, 560 million. I'm saying billion. Million. But $270 billion is a lot of money. $560 billion, boom, but she won't get even half of it. She'll get about 270 is what I'm guessing, 260, because it's not half. She's not going to get 280. Anyway, a lot of dollars. And so lawyers for this woman are appearing before a judge to request that she remain anonymous. She does not want to tell. She's like, why do I have to tell? And that's what got me interested in the story. Look, she won the Powerball, period. So why does she have to tell? And it got me, thinking, why does she have to tell? She's the winner. But they go, no, you must reveal yourself. And then she knows what's going to happen. All the resentment. Everybody's going to be coming out of the woodwork. Hey, sis, what's up, girl? Oh, Miss Johnson. Yeah, I remember that time. And I don't blame her. You don't want to deal with it. You want to give your money to who you want. Now, you can ignore people, but then you feel bad. If you feel bad. So she's going to get her $200+ million, and she's like, I don't want to be bothered. I want people to not know that I'm filthy, stinking rich now. I want to see what they're going to treat me like as an ordinary citizen, not as a person who won $200+ million. I don't want to lose find out that people, I want to know who genuinely likes me. And I don't want the new people that I meet have to be completely wondering what's going on. That is a legitimate thing. But you know why the lottery wants her to reveal herself? Because it's a scam. It's a scam. They need her to say, I won the lottery and you can win it too. Because here's what's cool about the lotto from a government's point of view. And you guys have heard me talk about this. I don't talk about it very often because I don't play. But here's what the deal is. The government's going to get 3/4 of the money that it collects. And this woman says she's the lottery winner. She is a winner. She's going to get $200+ million of hard-earned taxpayer money. Either the taxpayer money for the people who bought their lottery tickets who work, or the taxpayer money of the people who pay people on welfare who do nothing but buy lottery tickets with their money, with the money the taxpayers give them. So the government knows this scam. So they say, look, we've already gotten money. We've extorted money from these people. Half of the people that play the lotto don't play it on their own money. So we've got that money. Then we're going to take 3/3. That would be one for those doing the math. 3/4 of the money from the person who wins. So it is a net win for us no matter what. We're winning. I mean, the lotto would be illegal if it weren't run by the government. It would be called the numbers or a racket. They would call it racketeering. But so this woman, after giving up 3/4 of her money, and look, I understand the lotto's got to make some money. They got expenses, but she's got to give up 3/4 of it. 3/4 of her money. Half's going to go to Uncle Sugar and the state government, and then when she decides she's going to accelerate, because she's going to get her half, to take, they're going to get more money. She's going to accelerate. So you get what I'm saying? Half of it is taxed immediately, boop, to the government. $270-something million or whatever it is. Then they're going to take her $200-something million that she's got left when they split it. And they're going to say, okay, we'll accelerate this for you. And so of the $280 million that she theoretically has, they'll accelerate it. And then she'll take home $150 million. That's how the lotto works. What a racket. And she still feels good for the most part because, look, she bought a $3 ticket, a $2 ticket, whatever it costs. She bought that ticket. She's made out like a bandit on the backs of everybody else who lost. And there you have it. And here's the other dirty little secret of the lotto. They give you the number, but I don't believe it's the real number. I don't believe that they give you the full number. I think they've already taken their fees out. What it costs to operate. And then they do the rest of the lotto. So it's this total scam. And this lady's going, and on top of that, her life is going to change forever if she tells people, and she doesn't want to, I don't blame her for this. I wouldn't want to feel bad telling people no. Now, here's what she could do. She could take her $150 million. She could put aside $10 million and say, I'm going to set up a fund where people can, submit to my organization what they want, grants, and then it could be family. This is what I would do. Let's just talk about what I would do. If I won the lotto, I would take that money, like $10 million, and I'd set it aside and I'd say, okay, this is family money. You have a legitimate thing you want to do? The family will make a vote on it. It's $10 million that's in there. It'll pay for educations, whatever else. But you have to submit it, and the family will make a decision on it. And it stays in escrow. So it's growing. It's in a 5% growth fund every year. So $10 million growing at 5% is going to grow at $500,000 every year. So it should be self-sustaining. right? If you're not giving money away like crazy. $500,000 a year goes out to the family for, I want to start a business. My car's broken down. I'm about to lose my house, whatever. People go, okay, great, we got it. We're going to give you $30,000 to pay this off, whatever. But you got to come up with a business plan, yada, yada. I get it. And then everything after that, she says, oh, heck to the no. I'm not giving you anything else. And that would solve her problem. That's how I would handle it. I don't think she should have to tell who she is.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.